Today I want to talk to you about how you can retire rich by investing in your future now. Hi gang, I'm Dan and this is Dansplain, a channel where I like to talk to you guys about the things that I wish we all learned when growing up, whether it be from school or from our parents. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of this video, I want you guys to know, full disclaimer, this channel is all about me talking about the things that I've learned growing up and things that I wish we learned growing up. But that doesn't make me an authority on these topics, and it doesn't give me the authorization to give you professional advice. So that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just more trying to stimulate some thoughts, get you guys thinking about things that you may have not thought about before. But if you are going to follow up any of the things I talk about, make sure you do seek professional advice from someone who is authorized to give it to you. All right, enough disclaimers and jibber jabber. Let's get stuck into it. Now that I'm pushing 30, I'm getting to the stage in my life where my parents, other family members, even some colleagues, past and present, are getting towards that retirement age. And boy, is it hitting them like a truck. And to be frank with you, as a young whippersnapper of 29 years of age, still very, very young and very young at heart, I've never had to spend any time thinking about retirement because I'm miles away, 4 decades away in fact. And that brings me to the point of this video. And there are 2 topics that I particularly want to talk about. One is salary sacrificing, which is investing into your pension or your super fund. And the other one is compounding interest and how your money can make more money. Salary sacrificing, to keep it really simple, is putting more money into your super fund additional to the amount of money that you will already receive from your employer, which is mandatory in Australia. Now guys, I know that even the words salary sacrificing sound terrifying, but don't worry, it's not intimidating. It's a terrific concept and it's going to help you get rich into your retirement. It's not going to help you get rich on the way to retirement, but it will mean that you will retire way, way wealthier. And that's what I want to talk to you about in this video. I want to help you retire richer. So for those of you who don't have a great understanding of superannuation and haven't really learned much about it, I'm going to put the definition on the screen for you now, just for a couple of seconds. Pause that screen and then continue with the video when you have an idea of what it is. So here is the magic sauce, the golden egg, the most important part of this video to understand, and that is compound interest. I'm going to put the definition again like I did before on the screen, read over that, and then I'll go over it in layman's terms and go on with the rest of the video from there. So in layman's terms, compounding interest is money making money making money. It is money that you have sitting in an account that continues to make interest on all the new money that goes in. So for example, if you have $100 sitting in a bank account and it makes 10% interest for a year, after that year, you will have $110 in that account. That $110 will continue to make interest from that point. So another year at 10%, that 110 will turn into 121. And from the start, 5 years after starting, it will be $161 based on that $100 you put in at the very beginning. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the beauty of compound interest. And that is the concept we're going to use to retire rich. To quote Albert Einstein, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. It's a really, really simple way for anybody to save towards their future because all it takes is $5, $10, $20 a week, or just an amount that you won't even notice to go towards your super, and that money is going to make you so much money over the journey. According to superguide.com.au, the median growth rate for superannuation funds in Australia for 2018-2019 financial period was 7%, which outperformed the interest rates at the same times, which were roughly 1.5% being paid by banks. So if you took $1,000 and put it in a superannuation fund that performed exactly on the median at 7%, that $1,000 would have turned into $1,070. If you put that same $1,000 into a bank account that gave you 1.5% interest, that $1,000 would have turned into $1,015. There you can see there's a massive discrepancy. But because superannuation can often outperform interest rates of the country, you have an opportunity to make a lot more money on the same money that you invest into a savings account or superannuation. So why not put the money where you can make the most off of it? So according to superguide.com.au that I just quoted from earlier, 21 of the last 27 years have had positive growth from superannuation funds. Some of those years were as low as 0.3%, but some of them were as high as 15 or 19%. So take me, for example. I'm 29. I have roughly 30 years left of my working career, hopefully, unless I get to retire early, then hopefully not. But assuming I live out a normal working life, I've got roughly 30 years left of my working career. And that means that if I start investing extra money into my super fund today, I will get 30 years worth of compounding interest on the money that I decide to put in. Now, I've actually attached a link to a compound calculator down below. Have a look at that, play around with some different numbers, different amounts that you'd be putting in, $10 a week, 20, 50, 100, 1,000, a million, who knows what sort of money you can afford. Then take a growth rate that you think seems pretty reasonable. For example, 7% was last year, but you might want to be a bit more conservative and say, what if it goes up 5% over the journey? Put that number in and see how much that turns out into 30 years down the track. Or whatever age you are, put in the amount of years you think you'll be working for from this point and see how much money that turns into. I'm betting you will be very, very pleasantly surprised. Now, all of this looks wonderful on paper, and sure, it really can be, but it doesn't necessarily work out to be the more the merrier. It is much more important to find a great balance for your particular lifestyle and your financial situation. That is more important than anything. One thing that I am super glad about is that I've come across all this information while I'm in my 20s, not in my 50s and 60s, before it becomes too late. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to in their 50s and 60s who have expressed the same concerns to me. I wish I had more money in my super account. I wish I invested more money into my super account. I wish I was adding extra contributions earlier in my working life. Imagine how good it would have been if I started investing in my 20s and 30s. I didn't earn enough over my career to retire comfortably, and now I'm stuck. And probably the saddest one is they're worried that they're going to have not enough money to live the same lifestyle that they're used to living, and they'll have to live more frugally, which if we can avoid, why wouldn't we? Guys, I totally understand that it is so far away for some of us young whippersnappers. It's just not something that's in the cards, but it should be. We need to flip our mentality, flip our mindset, and try to invest small amounts now so that we can not worry about it in the future. And even though, yes, it might be 30, 40 years away for you, just like it is for me, but if you don't start at least thinking about it now, you're going to get to a point where it's too late and you could end up really regretting it. And one of the things to put your mind at rest is it's very, very simple to start setting it up. All you have to do is speak to the person who employs you, speak to the person who's in charge of payroll, and organize it through them. All they'll have to do is set it up, and once it's done, you just set it and forget it. And once you do set it, if you don't want to just forget it, you can change it or take it out at any time. If at any stage you decide, I don't want to contribute anymore, just tell the same people you spoke to originally and they'll stop it straight away. Now, you won't get your money back because once your money's in super, it's in super, but you can stop the contributions at any time or change the dollar amounts that you are contributing. And now it's time to talk about some of the cons of salary sacrificing. And there are plenty of people who believe it's not the right thing to do, and there are plenty of people who aren't in the right position to do it. First and foremost, the most important thing to understand is once your money is in your super fund, you cannot take it out except for some really extreme circumstances until you retire. So just make sure you prepare yourself for that. Make sure that if you do start contributing, it is something you definitely have thought about and want to do because you can't get that money back once you've invested it. Another really important thing to remember is interest rates and growth rates of super funds are always changing and it's not set in stone. You might make 15% on your super fund one year and you might make minus 5 or 10% the next year. Generally, like I showed you earlier, we tend to see positive results throughout the years, but don't forget, those results are not guaranteed and they are always fluctuating. And even every fund and every individual's fund fluctuates. Another crucial thing to consider before you do contribute to your super is that money better spent somewhere else? You might be in a position where you're saving your money to buy a house, or you've just recently bought a house and need to pay off a loan, or you can't afford to put that extra money away because you're living paycheck to paycheck. Everybody's different. We all have different factors to consider. So make sure that it is the right decision for you. And the only way to do that, like I've said a million times in this video, is speak to a professional who can advise you on those things. If you are the sort of person who fits into the category that believes that they can do better with their money and putting their money towards their super isn't going to have the same gains, then this probably isn't for you. But if you are the type of person who doesn't see themselves investing in the future or doesn't see themselves investing their money now, then it really might be a great avenue for you. These are the sort of things you need to consider. Guys, ultimately, I made this video for you guys today because I want to encourage you to think about things that you may have never heard of or thought about before. And if they can benefit you financially or otherwise in your future, then that is exactly what I'm going for. I'm hoping that you guys have never heard of this before or never considered putting some of your money away to invest in your future. But just have a think about it. Do some research. Do a little homework. I've left the links down below for you to have a look at. Speak to your family and friends. Speak to a professional who can actually give you advice on this professionally and just see where that takes you. It could end up being an amazing thing for your future. And if you end up becoming rich off this, don't forget where we started. Dansplained. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. That's going to wrap this one up. Hopefully you got some value out of it. And if you did, please be sure to give me a thumbs up down below. And if you're enjoying the sort of stuff you're seeing from this channel, make sure you do subscribe because there will be plenty more videos on a wide array of topics, all designed to help you. And give me your thoughts down below on what you think of salary sacrificing. Is it something you know about? Is it something you've thought about before? Is it something you actually do already? Is it something that you definitely don't want to do? Give me your thoughts down below. Let's have a bit of discussion about it and see where that takes us. Guys, it's been a damn pleasure. I can't wait to see you again next time. But until then, I'm Dan, and this is Dansplained. See ya!